Online game, I possess a monster merging simulator. Chapter 21, a bronze grade boss with terrifying attributes. Slime King, Alchemy, Contract possible. Quality, bronze grade boss. Level, 1, 0/2,500. HP, 50,000/50,000. Magic attack, 120 to 160. Physical defense, 65. Magic defense, 50. Superiority, 100%. Skill, Sticky Spray, grants, 100% plus 500, HP/MP recovery to a friendly target. Deals 100% fixed magic damage to enemy targets. Skill, Powered Jump, the Slime King will bounce with all its might. When it lands, it will deal 100% magic damage to targets within a range of 2 × 2. Skill, Healing, absorb 10% of the damage and turn it into health points. Skill, Summoning of the King, summons 20 small slimes. Consuming one will recover 100 health points. If killed, the small slimes will explode and cause 100% magic damage to the target. Introduction: originally, it was a ferocious slime king, but it accidentally fused with a special potion and was enlightened. In the end, it evolved into a bronze grade boss proficient in healing. Gasp! Lorne gasped when he saw the attributes. A boss-level pet could actually have 50,000 health points at level 1. This was an unimaginable number for players. As an elite monster, Minotaur 1 only had 800 health points at level 1. The difference between the two was too great. However, Lorne also noticed a problem. That was, when the boss became a pet, its attributes were weakened. Although the attributes of the panel in front of him were powerful, if he did not include the additional bonus and raised the Slime King's level to 10, the final attributes should not be as high as the event boss earlier. Lorne understood this point well. After all, in reality, pets reared were no match for wild beasts. Therefore, he did not think too much about it. Rather than that, the current Lorne felt that he should cheer, for he now had a mobile medical base that was practically infinite healing. Sticky Spray was originally an AoE damage skill, but now it was more focused on healing and recovery. The pitiful 100% fixed damage was too mediocre compared to the healing aspect. Perhaps this was the drawback of synthesizing with the alchemy potion. The damage output was reduced but the recovery effect was amplified. In regards to this, Lorne had been mentally prepared the moment he had combined it, so he was not disappointed. However, Powered Jump, Healing, and Summoning of the King were all weakened to a certain extent, which was out of his expectations. He felt that perhaps because of the event, the system had added additional attributes to the boss. Otherwise, an ordinary level 10 boss would definitely not have 100,000 health points. This was hard to verify. But neither did Lorne fixate on this issue. In any case, he had obtained a boss-level pet. This was a good outcome. Now, it's time to give you a name. Lorne rubbed his chin in thought. Naming was a tough job. However, he had contracted a boss-level pet this time. He could not be too casual. After all, it would follow him for a long time in the future. Got it. His eyes snapped open. From now on, you shall be called Rimuru. Rimuru was an ideal name for a slime. Hearing this name, the little guy excitedly stuck to the side of his face, making the most intimate contact with him. Lorne laughed. He liked this sticky little guy. It was soft, cool, and, most important, it kept all the members of the party safe. After giving it a name, he directly used the EXP to level it up. As soon as the light shone down, he was stunned. Ding! You used 2,500 experience points to raise your pet Slime King, Alchemy, Rimuru, to level 2. Health, 62,500, 12,500. Attack, 150 to 200, 3040. Physical resistance, 81.16. Magic resistance, 62.12. Just the level up alone increased Rimuru's health by more than 10,000. This meant that the increase was 62.5 times that of Minotaur 1. If he told this news to other players now, no one would believe him, because this number was too shocking. Of course, with a huge increase in attributes, the requirement to level up was naturally huge. From level 2 to level 3, Rimuru required 7,500 experience points, which was equivalent to a player going from level 1 to level 10. The 28,000 experience points that Lorne had could only allow it to level up a few times. Ding! You used 7,500 experience points to raise your pet to level 3. You used 12,500 experience points to raise your pet to level 4. You used 17,500 experience points to raise your pet to level 5. After reaching level 5, he used up all his experience. At this time, Rimuru also had extremely powerful attributes. Its health points alone were 100,000 points, and its attack was 240 to 360. Its attributes were almost exactly the same as when it was in the event. After dealing with this matter, Lorne quickly sent a message to his only friend before the light completely dissipated. "Big busted sister, do you want to do another shady deal?" As soon as he sent the message, not far away, Twinkle Rose, who was about to send a message to remind him to leave, trembled and nearly spat out a mouthful of blood. "Who wants to make a shady deal with you?" "Humph! You're such a pervert!" Twinkle Rose answered angrily. "All right, since you don't want it, then forget it. In any case, it's just a few bronze treasure chests. It's really hard to sell these worthless things. I'm so annoyed." "What? Bronze treasure chests?" Twinkle Rose's eyes lit up, and she replied pitifully, "Wah, little brother tyrant, our Silver Snow Guild sisters are still very weak. We need high-grade equipment. If you have any that you can't use, please sell them to us, please." "Of course, that's not an issue. Now, let's carefully complete this shady deal." Seeing this reply, Twinkle Rose clenched her fists. That guy was too evil. Although it was true that this deal could not be seen by the other guild leaders, it was too strange to describe it as a shady deal. At that moment, Twinkle Rose wanted to grab him and use her rapier to seal his mouth. On the other side, Lorne opened his bag and placed the unopened treasure chests on the online trading platform. Right now, there were players from large guilds everywhere. He could not trade with them in person. He could only let the system earn some fees to complete the transaction. A total of 50,000 alliance dollars. This time, Lorne did not ask for the in-game currency to be used. The synthesis of the Slime King had ended, and now he wanted to earn real alliance dollars. Twinkle Rose also gave a rather generous price. Each bronze treasure chest was given a high price of 10,000. Originally, the price of an equipment treasure chest was much more mediocre because one did not know what equipment would drop from it. It could be that the attributes were good or that the attributes were bad. Such items with more uncertainty should be priced at the middle upper levels. But Twinkle Rose still gave the highest price on the market. And as soon as he was certain of the deal, 45,000 alliance dollars went into his virtual account. At that moment, the surrounding atmosphere became restless. Now that the light was about to fade, the players from the large guilds also realized that they did not want to let go of Lorne, because the reward for the first kill was too great, and the equipment dropped by the first boss was too tempting. However, when all of them surrounded him, Lorne's body began to fade away as he simply vanished on the spot. Chapter 22, Revenue of Tens of Millions per Day. Global attention. Lorne had chosen to go offline not because he was afraid of the guilds. Firstly, it was because of the high-intensity gaming process that his brain was a little tired. Now, he needed to rest appropriately. Otherwise, if he tired himself out, the consequences would be extremely troublesome. Secondly, he thought the battle was meaningless. In fact, with Rimura's strength, he could completely turn their camp upside down, but there was no need. So what if he killed the other party? He would just gain lots of sin points. After all, if one had many sin points, their name would be read. At that time, they would not be able to enter the village or the main city. In short, doing so would only affect his efficiency in leveling up and waste his time. Lorne was not such a fool. Not to mention that he had a debt to pay. For the past 2 weeks, he had been trying to earn money. First, he had to pay off his debts. Then, he would earn more money and find the best doctor in the world to treat Rona. As for other matters, he would avoid them if possible. He would not waste his time. Ding! Message reminder: your account ending with digits 1244 has been transferred 45,000 Alliance dollars today. Virtual Bank of the Divine Realm. The moment he went offline, a panel popped up on the watch in his hand, showing today's income information. The original transaction amount was 50,000, but in the end, he only got 45,000. This was because using the online trading of Divine Realm required paying 10% tax, so $5,000 was deducted. Fortunately, there was no need to pay any fees to withdraw funds from the Divine Realm Virtual Bank. Otherwise, he would have lost another portion of his money. In addition, when Lorne went offline, he did not convert the gold coins on him. This was because one gold coin from the exchange system of the Divine Realm was only worth 1,000 Alliance dollars, which was 5 times lower than the price on the black market. Of course, he would not want to suffer such a loss. It's already 10 p.m. Only then did Lorne realize that he had made 45,000 in less than 10 hours. This income was higher than most people living in the energy zone. Not to mention the equipment and pets he had. If he counted all of them, his income today would probably exceed 10 million. After all, Rimura was a bronze-grade boss. Just its value alone should be worth 1 million, or even 10 million. At the thought of this, Lorne finally relaxed. He took a shower and changed into a comfortable new set of clothes before heading out to finish his dinner. He had made a lot of money today, so he wanted to reward himself a little. Lorne found a restaurant with a good environment and sat alone in the corner. He ordered a recommended set meal. There was no need for red wine, he was not that extravagant. Seated on the soft couch, it had been a long time since he had enjoyed such a sensation. Under the warm light, he missed the time when he would have dinner with Rona. With a sigh, Lorne opened the official site of Divine Realm. Today was the opening day of the launch of Divine Realm. This was the first time that humans had come into contact with a virtual online game that was 100% realistic. There should be hundreds of millions of players who entered on time. Perhaps there were also people who had obtained powerful innate skills and had done something amazing. Ding! 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 As soon as he opened the official forum, news articles popped up. Player Tyrant has successfully killed the boss. Mission completed in Beginner Village No 2451. What method did Tyrant use to instantly kill the boss within 10 seconds? Did Tyrant cheat? Deep analysis, boss battle in Beginner Village No 2451. Tyrant's first pet turns out to be a Minotaur. Shocking news. The true identity of Tyrant is likely to be. Video of the scene in Beginner Village number 2451 uploaded. Netizens, let's view it together and find out how Tyrant killed the boss. Looking at the news on the web page, Lorne was stunned. Why was the news today all about him? There was no news about the other beginner villages. Moreover, there were people who suspected that he had cheated. There were even people who analyzed his true identity and thought that he was some gaming master. The news seemed even more boring than he had imagined. Lorne shook his head, then opened the last trending post. What did this live video capture? He looked at the post and opened the video. At the beginning of the video, a few large guilds were chasing away the rogue players. Their axes and swords slashed at the other players. At that moment, a player with a short staff walked out from the corner. When someone reprimanded him, a strong bull-headed monster chopped the player's face with the axe. Instant kill. After that, the Minotaur started a massacre in the player's camp, and the summoner walked to the center of the battlefield. Then, an incomparably grand light shone out. Under the dazzling light, everyone's vision was obstructed. While everyone was curious, a worldwide announcement appeared. The boss was killed. Slayer, Tyrant. From the moment he walked to the side of the Slime King, the blinding light blossomed. In less than 3 seconds, the even more magnificent light covered the entire battlefield. The entire process was too quick, and no one could see what was happening inside. After watching this video, the netizens were no longer calm. Countless comments appeared below. Damn! What happened? This magic circle looks very profound. As expected of a man called Tyrant. His methods are really brutal. Daddy Tyrant, please enlighten me on how to kill the boss in 3 seconds. I'll kneel down before you. Brother Tyrant, do you have a girlfriend? I can do anything. Brother Tyrant, I can swallow 20 centimeters. Please consider me. For the next week, I only need 1 bronze equipment. Countless people were curious about what happened in the light. After all, killing the boss within 10 seconds was simply a myth to the players. They did not dare to imagine it. But there were also those who thought that Lorne had used some special method. Congratulations to them, for their guesses were very close to the answer. These were all relatively normal comments. But then, everything changed as he continued scrolling. Countless people saw his potential. Some people wanted to recruit him with money, while others wanted to use their beauty and body to exchange for his attention. It made Lorne uncomfortable. He never denied that he liked beautiful women, but this kind of woman who could sell her body for a week to get a bronze equipment really made him feel a little disgusted. He quickly closed the post and looked at other information. Just as he was about to flip through the posts, suddenly, a pop-up window appeared. Glancing at it, Lorne's eyes widened. He quickly clicked on it. Chapter 23, The First Instance Dungeon appears. First Instance Dungeon, Valley of the Dead. The top post on the forum was particularly eye-catching. Lorne was also shocked by the information on it. He had thought that after the mission ended, the game would be quiet for a period of time. However, he did not expect that not long after he had logged off, the game had actually issued a notice for the first dungeon in the entire server. He quickly opened it. Valley of the Dead. Type: Special Instance Dungeon. Difficulty: Level 10. Entry requirement: limited to players in the beginner village. Clear reward: attribute points, reputation points, experience points, gold coins, luck, and bronze chests. First clear reward: global announcement, silver treasure chest, unknown item reward. Rule: all monsters in the dungeon will not drop experience points, but equipment and other loot will be dropped. Moreover, the more monsters you kill, the higher the exploration completion percentage will be. The reward after the dungeon clear will also be increased accordingly. Introduction: due to the fact that beginner village number 2451 blocked the Slime King's attack, the Empire believes that the adventurers are powerful enough. Therefore, they have announced the Valley of the Dead hidden in the space near the beginner village, hoping that powerful adventurers can complete the exploration of the valley and clean up the minions of the dark forces. This was a level 10 dungeon. The difficulty was unknown, but from the amount of rewards, it could be seen that this dungeon was not simple. Just the rewards for clearing the dungeon included attribute points and luck. These were rewards that players had to fight for. The reward for the first clear was even more insane. There was a global announcement on it that would be seen by all the players in the world. It was equivalent to a global advertisement, and it would be forcefully issued to everyone. To those financial groups that wanted to create a business empire in the virtual world, this was definitely an opportunity that they had to seize. It could be seen from the fact that the guilds had already announced that they were determined to obtain the first clear of the dungeon and become the world's number one. To them, winning this battle was equivalent to telling the world that their guild had the ability to become the number one guild in the world. This would attract countless players to join, and the guild's strength would madly rise, thereby quickly pulling away from other large guilds. In contrast, it put a lot of pressure on Lorne. The top players of large guilds had their gaming mechanics and awareness at the limit. In addition, they could team up to enter the dungeon, which gave them a greater advantage. But that did not concern him. With Rimuru and the Minotaur with him, he only needed to go online and create a new combat-type pet to make up for the lack of damage. At that time, with Rimuru's high health and the damage output of the other two pets, forcefully clearing the dungeon would not be a problem. The next day, Lorne woke up very early. He took a cab to the People's Hospital in District 3006 of the Energy Zone. The poor people had to notify the authorities in advance when they entered the Energy Zone. After that, they would go through the approval of many departments. Only after they passed all of them would they be allowed to go through. Lorne had been familiar with the process since 2 years ago. Every Monday and Friday, he came to see her. When he arrived at the special ward, he looked in through the small glass window and saw a young girl lying quietly on the bed. Her body was connected to medical equipment everywhere. For the past 3 years, he had watched his sister through the small window. He could not even approach her to say a few words, because the environment inside had to be kept clean. Every time he entered, he had to go through a very complicated inspection and disinfection process. At the same time, he had to pay additional fees. "Don't worry, Rona. I will heal you." Lorne clenched his hands. Unlike his previous helplessness, he was filled with hope this time, because he had found the path to the greatest wealth and had obtained some achievements on this path. Then he came to an office. The woman in front of him was none other than Rona's doctor in charge. It was also because of her that they had not been forced out of the medical room despite the debt of $1 million. Lorne only had 50,000 in savings and could not pay the minimum amount, but he still came because he wanted to ask Director Sally to help him buy time until the end of the month. The hospital was heartless. Without instructions, no one knew when they would act recklessly. If they forced the equipment to stop, it was possible that Rona would really lose her life. Director Sally agreed to Lorne's request, but she said that the deadline was at the beginning of next month. If Lorne could not repay the loan on time, she would not be able to stop the hospital's decision. Lorne thanked her and left the hospital. He was not worried about money. To the current him, 1 million was not a difficult figure to earn. Lorne was very confident that in just 1 or 2 days, after completing the dungeon and the special mission of the missionary, he would definitely earn 1 million, or even more. At that time, he would get Director Sally to help him find the most famous experts in the world and let them treat Rona effectively. At home, he put on his simple gaming helmet and logged into the game, Divine Realm. With a flash of light, he returned to the familiar beginner village. At this moment, the beginner village had returned to normal. The buildings that had been destroyed by the Slime King had been refreshed. Even the NPCs had been revived. The players were all accepting missions. After 12 hours, most of them had reached level 10, but they still could not leave this place. As the dungeon had not been cleared yet, the way to the main city was temporarily sealed. Now, all the players in the world had to wait until the Hell difficulty dungeon was cleared before they could go to the main city. The appearance of Lorne immediately stirred up the beginner village. "Look! It's Tyrant. He still dares to show his face in the beginner village. Isn't he afraid that the guilds will find trouble with him? Tyrant snatched the guild's boss and has so many high-level equipment on him. The grudge has already been formed. He can't hide. Looks like the beginner village is going to be lively again." The surrounding players discussed. It seemed that yesterday's incident had dealt a huge blow to the higher UPS of the large guilds. They had actually been staring the moment he appeared. But Lorne did not care. He pushed through the crowd to the temple, where he found the missionary that he had been waiting for. Chapter 24, Light Priestess Leisha. The village just suffered a great calamity. Young adventurer, quickly help repair the village, the missionary said earnestly. Hearing this, Lorne was speechless. As a powerful adventurer, how could he do such a small thing like building a village? He was wasting his talents. I'm here to turn in the mission, said Lorne. Mission? The missionary thought for a moment. Young man, I don't think I've given you any mission. Lorne swore internally upon hearing this. This missionary was young, how could his memory be blurry? Could it be that yesterday's battle had damaged his brain? Lorne was speechless. He did not want to say anything else, so he took out the mission slip he had obtained at the time and threw it to the missionary. The other party glanced at it. His eyes instantly widened, and he acted as if he had seen a ghost. You did this, adventurer. How is this possible? You are only a weak summoner. How can you complete such a difficult mission? Although he sensed that Lorne was level 10, the summoner did not have any combat ability. Even if he could summon pets, it was impossible for him to kill so many stone beetles in such a short time. The missionary froze. It took him a moment to recover. He could not believe that someone could complete this mission in such a short time and that such a huge thing had happened to the village yesterday. However, the number recorded on this mission list with magic power could not be faked. This young adventurer had indeed done what others could not. There was no doubt about it. You surprised me, young adventurer. Although I cannot believe it, you have indeed completed this difficult task in an impossible period of time. This is your reward. The glory of the Empire and the deities will forever shine upon you. Calming himself, the missionary prayed sincerely. At the same time, a light poured over Lorne. Ding! Congratulations on completing the missionary assessment. Favorability received from the missionary, plus 50. Current attitude, friendly. Reward, experience points plus 2000, plus 3500, reputation points plus 300, and gold coin plus 1. Due to completing the mission ahead of time, additional equipment is obtained, exquisite war boots, bronze. Exquisite war boots. Grade, bronze. Speed, plus 6. Agility, plus 3. Level requirement, 10. Introduction. It was a good piece of equipment that Lorne could use. He directly changed out of his beginner's grass shoes. His speed also increased from 28.8 to 33.4. In addition, he received other rewards, including 5,500 experience points, which were used to increase the level of Minotaur 1. Rimuru needed too many experience points. If he forcefully increased its level now, it would severely reduce the efficiency of Lorne's farming. After dealing with that, Lorne looked at the missionary again and asked, "Didn't you say there was another mission?" He did not forget the true purpose of this test. The missionary made an inviting gesture, "Come with me, adventurer. The priestess will give you that more important task." Priestess? Lorne was surprised. No wonder the test just now was a time limit mission. It turned out that there was a big shot behind it. Following the missionary into the interior of the temple, there was a barrier at the entrance that prevented the other players from seeing. At that moment, Lorne found himself in an even more glorious temple. A white-robed woman sat in the middle of the temple. Her eyes were closed, as if she was meditating. As he neared, a name could be seen above her. Light Priestess Leisha. Greetings, Priestess. Lorne bowed respectfully. Virtual games were different from other types of games. In the virtual world, NPCs also had their own thinking ability. If you offended them, they would hate you, and showing proper etiquette could increase their affinity. At the greeting, the eyes of Priestess Leisha opened. They were golden. Young adventurer, Priestess Leisha spoke, her holy voice echoing through the temple, the power of the abyss has corroded this peaceful land. The power of darkness lurks near this village. Under the guidance of the dragon deity, I came here to disperse the darkness and investigate the source. After many days of exploration, I obtained some information, but now I'm in some trouble. Will you help a noble light priestess, young adventurer? I will. Lorne nodded. It was obvious that the Church of Light wanted to entrust the hidden mission to him. Only a fool would not be willing to do so. The Church of Light was one of the most powerful forces in the Empire, and behind it stood the Dragon of Light, Haymat. Because they were opposing the dark forces, the Church of Light was also the faction with the most missions. There was no reason for the players not to get close to such a force. Thank you for your help. May the glory of the Empire and the Church forever shine on you. Priestess Leisha gave him a soft smile. Perhaps you already know of the Valley of the Dead, and the minions of the Dark Abyss who have infiltrated the Empire. They lurk in the cracks of darkness, awaiting the moment to swarm out. What these dark creatures do not know is that the Empire has long discovered their location and has not eliminated them. They only want to give the adventurers a test. When you are powerful enough, the Empire will announce their location. However, I did not come here because of this. My original mission was to inquire about a secret matter. Now, the key to that information is likely to be in the deepest part of the Valley of the Dead. However, as a light priestess, I cannot enter, because the space opened by the dark minions is very likely to connect to the abyss. If they sense my power, that might attract extremely terrifying existences. Therefore, I need a powerful adventurer to help me enter the deepest part of the Valley of the Dead and uncover its secrets. A look of concern crossed the noble white-clad Priestess Leisha's face. At the same time, a mission notification appeared. Ding! You have triggered a unique hidden mission in the world, explore the Valley of the Dead. Do you accept it? Accept. Lorne nodded excitedly. This was a unique mission in the world, and the rewards for completing it would be immense. However, when he opened the mission details and checked the mission requirements, he immediately felt a sense of pressure. Chapter 25, Priestess Leisha's Gift. Mission: explore the Valley of the Dead. Requirements: clear the Nightmare difficulty instance dungeon of the Valley of the Dead. Reward: unknown. Description: Priestess of Light, Leisha, has commissioned you to explore the deepest part of the Valley of the Dead. After completing the mission, you will receive a generous reward. Yes, that was right. The mission requirement was to clear a nightmare dungeon. That was the most difficult dungeon. There was another bad news too. When he was checking the information of the dungeon earlier, Lorne realized that every player only had one chance in a nightmare difficulty dungeon. In other words, he could not fail, or else he would lose the unique hidden mission. He was not worried about that. Ever since he had the monster merging simulator, Lorne had felt that there was no mission in this world that he could not complete. If there was, then no other player would be able to complete it. This was his confidence. However, now that he had accepted the mission, it did not seem right to leave just like that. It was an opportunity for Lorne. After some thought, he looked up and said, "As a brave adventurer, it is my duty to fight the darkness, but I am too weak to do so. I seek the help of the priestess." Hey? He wanted a reward before completing the mission? Was it appropriate? The priestess looked at him oddly, but Lorne did not seem to notice. "With my current strength, I can explore the Valley of the Dead and am confident enough, but your request is to explore the deepest part of the valley. I'm afraid that my strength is not enough to do that." With a disconsolate expression, Lorne voiced his concerns. Priestess Leisha thought about it. Considering that the Valley of the Dead was indeed too dangerous for the current adventurers, it was best to provide help so that he could investigate the situation in the valley as soon as possible. "What do you want?" Priestess Leisha decided to help him. After hearing this, Lorne was overjoyed. As a summoner, I want to have more pet spaces. The tool to open up the pet space is very precious. I don't have it on me for the time being, but your level has already reached level 10. I can help you activate the pet space you can obtain after changing your class in advance. Is this okay? Priestess Leisha gently asked. However, there was nothing Lorne could do about it. He had originally thought that he would be able to obtain an additional pet space, but who would have thought that she would only help him activate the original pet space in advance? How was that any different from no reward? Forget it. Lorne shook his head. Priestess, do you have any useful tools you don't need, such as the limbs of monsters or their sabers, swords, or wands? Monster limbs? Upon hearing this, Priestess Leisha frowned slightly. In the end, she nodded and said, originally, these things were planned to be brought back to the main city to be handed over as materials for the Blacksmith Guild to do research. Since you like them, I'll give you some. With a wave of her hand, a golden light fell upon Lorne. The system's notification sounded immediately. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Light Priestess gift, Unknown Light Bone. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Light Priestess gift, Dried Undead Heart. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Light Priestess gift, Continuous Burning Flame. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Light Priestess gift, Blood-Soaked Rusted Iron Sword. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the Light Priestess gift, Cracked Death Scythe. Perhaps feeling that the items were not worth much, Priestess Leisha directly offered 5 strange items. But Lorne's eyes glowed. After hearing the names of these materials, he knew that they were very useful. If he used them to synthesize, he would definitely be able to obtain excellent monsters. For example, Continuous Burning Flame could add fire elements to monsters, the sword and scythe were weapons, and there were too many merging options to choose from. The rest were also quite good. He believed that they would be useful in the future. Satisfied, he left. Now, he could level up properly and find a suitable monster. When Minotaur 1 and another pet reached level 10, he could attempt to challenge the dungeon. With that in mind, Lorne headed out of the village, humming. At the entrance of the village, right after Lorne had barely left. Suddenly, from the wheat field and the village, a large group of players quickly gathered. They all glared at him fiercely, clearly not here to treat him to a meal. The players quickly surrounded him, ready to attack. To a summoner player, this was the most fatal blow. Even if the summoner's pets were invincible, they could not avoid such an encirclement because the enemies could attack the summoner. As long as they killed the summoner, the pets would naturally disappear. At this moment, a familiar figure walked out of the crowd. Unparalleled Domination was the one who led the members of the Domination Guild to encircle and suppress them. Tyrant, are you going to hand over your equipment yourself, or do you want me to kill you and take them forcefully? He looked at Lorne arrogantly, his eyes greedily staring at the sage staff in his hand. This exquisite silver-grade equipment was like a dazzling gem that attracted the attention of many. That was not all. Look at the shining shoulder guards, exquisite war boots, and wrist guards. They were all bronze items. It should be known that most of the current players were only wearing white iron equipment. Some were still wearing beginner equipment. At such a time, the tyrant was dressed in bronze and even silver. It was too luxurious. If we can get a bronze-grade weapon, it can feed us for a few months. We will also get $500 each time we kill him. You guys really don't have any goals. I'm aiming for the silver-grade equipment. The silver-grade equipment reward is $100,000. All of you, move aside. Don't fight with me. The battle had not begun, but these people had already thought of how to take his equipment. But Lorne was calm. As a summoner, death would not affect his combat ability at all. After all, pets were his true strength. Furthermore, under the circumstances that he was not a red-named player, death would not cause too many equipment to drop. If these people wanted to strip him naked, they were thinking too much. In addition, there was Rimuru and Minotaur one beside him. If they really fought, it was hard to say who would kill who. The corners of Lorne's mouth turned up. He was going to have a good fight with them, or even kill them all. Just as the battle was about to begin. Suddenly, lightning exploded in the crowd, killing more than 10 players from the Domination Guild on the spot. Everyone looked over and were stunned immediately. Chapter 26, Enthusiastic Help from the Beginner Village. A large number of NPCs appeared at the entrance of the village and rushed over. The leader was a missionary from the church. He held a short staff that was flickering with lightning. The lightning skill was clearly released by him. Next to him were the white-haired village head, the half-naked blacksmith, the leather-clad hunter, the spear-wielding NPC, and nearly all the other guards. Damn! What's going on? Seeing this scene, the surrounding players were all stunned and could not believe their eyes. Was another boss going to attack the village? Other than that, there should not be any situation that would cause such a commotion, right? No one knew what was happening. At the side, the players from the Domination Guild were even more confused. They could not understand why these NPCs came here. The players did not provoke them after all. Furthermore, they had specially chosen to surround the village this time. They had not violated the village's laws. Why? Why were the villagers attacking them? They were clearly good children who obeyed the law and contributed to the village. However, the NPCs did not explain anything. When they arrived near the battlefield and saw that Lorne was surrounded by a group of people, they flew into a rage. The village head waved his crutch. In the next second, an immense fire spell covered the entire area. At the same time, the savage blacksmith rushed into the crowd and threw the terrifying strength he used to forge at the surrounding Domination Guild players. Little brats, have a taste of my hammer. Experience the hunter's bow and arrow. Watch my sweep. Spear thrust. The NPCs attacked the players of the Domination Guild crazily. They used all their strength as if they wanted to send this group of adventurers to hell. On the other hand, the players from Domination Guild did not dare to retaliate. When players attacked NPCs, their affinity with them would decrease. At that time, they would not be able to accept any missions from these NPCs. They would not even be able to use the teleportation array controlled by the village head. Thus, there was no suspense in the entire battle. Under the various attacks of the NPCs, dozens of corpses instantly fell on the ground. The players who were standing far away hurriedly retreated into the crowd, afraid that the NPCs would discover their identity. The battle quickly ended. The village head stopped using his spell. He used the wand as a crutch and approached Lorne, asking respectfully, "Master Adventurer, are you all right?" "I'm fine. Thank you for your help." Lorne thanked him from the bottom of his heart. It was heartwarming to see the NPCs protecting him. Of course, he did not understand why they would help a player like this. The missionary came up to him and explained, "Master Adventurer, when you first stepped out of the temple, I noticed their furtive movements. To keep them from disturbing you, I informed the village head." "Indeed." The old village head nodded earnestly, "I heard you have a mission to do, and because you saved the village yesterday, you are our benefactor. We will not allow you to be harmed near the village." At this point, the old village head gestured to the NPC team behind him. Everyone smiled back. The nearest uncle blacksmith carried a hammer and scratched his head. "Oh, I see," Lorne replied. The surrounding players finally understood everything. However, unparalleled domination hiding in the crowd was so angry that his entire body was trembling. With these NPCs around, he could not teach Tyrant a lesson near the beginner village, so he did not plan to waste any more time here. But before he left, he had to make sure Tyrant was fearful. "Brat, consider yourself lucky today. However, wait and see. Unless you don't leave the beginner village for the rest of your life, I will make the players of the Domination Guild keep an eye on you. Unparalleled Domination said as he gritted his teeth. With that, he turned to leave. But before he could go any farther, he heard voices behind him. Village head, it seems that it was that guy who led the adventurers to kill our master adventurer. I see. This kid doesn't look like a good person. I also heard that recently, the dark forces have been secretly recruiting a group of adventurers. I suspect that it's them. Although there's no direct evidence now, we have to be wary. The missionary and the old village head discussed among themselves. Hearing this, Unparalleled Domination staggered and almost fell to the ground. In the next second, a grand voice sounded. Beginner village announcement, village head. Due to the destruction caused by the Slime King yesterday, the village has suffered a huge blow. A large amount of rocks are needed to repair the house. I have decided to ask all adventurers with the word domination in their names to go to the rock valley to mine the materials. With the authority of the village head, the old man issued a forced special mission. At the same time, all the players with the word domination in their IDs received a notification. Mission information: you have triggered a special mission. Please hurry to the rock valley to mine the rocks. If you do not reach the target area after 30 minutes, you will lose 1 level of experience. At the same time, if you do not fulfill the mission conditions, you are forbidden to leave the map area. Otherwise, you will be severely punished. During the mission, you will receive a buff reward, minus 50% EXP. After completing the mission, you will receive a reward, plus 10 experience points, plus 1 bronze coin. Pfft. When they saw the details of the mission, all the players who had the word domination on them spat out blood. This was a mission? A buff of minus 50% experience gain? Who would do such a mission? Furthermore, completing the entire mission would only give them 10 experience points and 1 bronze coin as reward. Was he treating them like beggars? F***CKU. Tyrant. You're a F***ing despicable scoundrel. If you're a man, use your fists to solve problems. Don't use such dirty methods. Unparalleled Domination was extremely furious as he cursed endlessly. Under such dirty arrangements, all the Domination Guild players in this beginner village were unable to level up. To the ambitious him, this was the greatest blow. But before he could curse more, one of the guards forced him away. He offended the noble adventurer. Lock him up for 1 more day. In the beginner village, the old village head had a lot of authority. As for Lorne, he silently picked up all the equipment that had fallen from the ground and packed them up to sell to the uncle from the smithy. Then, he took the 1 gold coin he had obtained from selling them and walked into the forest happily. Chapter 27, Mantis? I have another bold idea. After passing through the low-level region, he directly entered the deepest part of the forest. Rimuru. When he had summoned it, this little fellow became very intimate, touching him with its cold body. After being apart for more than 10 hours, it was missing its master. From the looks of it, a boss-level pet had very high cognitive abilities. This was unlike the 2-headed demon hound. As a pet created from a level 3 prototype, it showed no emotion at all. As for the giant axe minotaur, it was just dull by nature. Its eyes were firmly fixed ahead as it held the battle axe in its hand tightly. Clearly, it wanted to fight. After getting the reward, all the experience had been given to the minotaur to increase its level. It had already reached level 5, and its attributes could already suppress normal level 10 monsters. No wonder this guy could not hold back. Let's go. We'll set off now. Lorne patted Rimuru on the head and led his pets through the forest. After a night of exploring, all the map resources around the beginner village had been explored. Now, they were all occupied by the guilds. Lorne did not want to compete with the other players for resources. Therefore, this time, his goal was the forest beyond. In the outer layer of all the known maps, there was also an area covered in black fog. The name could not be seen on the map, giving people a sense of danger. But Lorne did not care. He led the party directly into this dark region. Since Rimuru's attack was long-range, Lorne let it stay on his body as a fixed cannon. While protecting its master, it also dealt long-range damage. The giant axe minotaur was responsible for slashing, and the two-headed demon hound was responsible for assisting. However, so far, Lorne had not found a monster that interested him, so he had not been able to create anything. As he was farming, his friend list suddenly lit up. It was a message from Twinkle Rose. "Tyrant, where are you? I brought someone to save you." While Lorne was surrounded, Twinkle Rose and the others were trying to clear the dungeon. When she revived in the village, she heard news about Lorne and rushed to the village entrance, but she did not see anything. Seeing this news, Lorne did not know whether to laugh or cry. This beautiful guild leader's information was too slow. By the time she came to rescue them, everyone would probably have left already. Of course, he was very touched by the fact that the Twinkle Rose had brought people to save him. After all, fighting a guild like Domination would result in heavy losses. "There's no need. The matter has been resolved. Unfortunately, you came too late and missed a transaction." Lorne appeared relaxed, but such an attitude made Twinkle Rose very shocked. At this moment, a player happened to pass by. She hurriedly asked about what had happened at the entrance of the village. When she heard that all the NPCs in the village had come to support Lorne, her beautiful eyes widened several times. After a long pause, she replied, "What are you doing now? Do you want to explore the dungeon with us?" "Exploring the dungeon? No, now was not the time." Lorne rejected her invitation. His mission was to clear the nightmare difficulty dungeon. With his current strength, he was not too confident. "All right, little brother, take care of yourself. Big sister is going to bring people to tackle the dungeon." Twinkle Rose had specifically used the phrase "little brother." The last time this guy had called her big busted sister, she had been trying to find a way to get back at him. The phrase "little brother" was simply too appropriate. "Please don't use the word little brother without knowledge of what it means. It really doesn't suit me," Lorne said with a meaningful smile. "Little kid, you sure like to brag." At the entrance of the village, Twinkle Rose looked at the message in the chat and could not help but laugh merrily. Even the frustration of her failure to clear the dungeon vanished. Then, she closed the chat, drew her sword, and led her team to the forest. She wanted to recover her lost level and then reattempt the dungeon. In the forest, Lorne grinned. It seemed that the beautiful guild leader had an interesting personality. She was not as serious as she looked. This was even better. At the very least, when they were chatting, it was not too lifeless. After chatting for a while, his mood improved a lot. "Very good. Young people should work harder." Taking out his short staff, Lorne increased the pace of their trek through the forest. "Ding! You have killed a jungle bull. EXP plus 20, plus 35, dot. Ding! You have killed a forest lizard. EXP plus 18, plus 32, dot. Ding! You have killed a poison marsh frog. EXP plus 20, plus 35, dot. Ding! You have killed a demonized wild boar. EXP plus 16, plus 28, dot. The monsters in the beginner village posed no threat to Lorne. He quickly arrived at the target area. After entering, the types of monsters that appeared became more and more disorganized. There were almost all kinds of monsters, and they were all level 8 to 10. This was Lorne's ideal farming area. As for the third pet, he still had not created it. There was no need to worry about that. Without inspiration, he did not want to replace the two-headed demon hound just like that. After all, with Minotaur 1 and Rimuru around, the efficiency of farming monsters was not slow. Ding! You used 4,500 experience points to raise your pet giant axe Minotaur to level 6. 10 minutes later, the Minotaur's level increased again, and its attributes increased significantly. Health, 1,800, Attack, 112 to 157, Defense, 45. With such attributes and a powerful skill effect, it was not a problem to crush level 10 monsters. At this moment, Lorne heard something unusual. He moved toward it. When he came out of the forest, he saw a strange creature eating the corpse of a demon wolf not far away. What was that? A mantis? Lorne's eyes widened. The creature before him was a mantis, a giant mantis over a meter long. Its two arms were like sickles, easily slicing through the demon wolf's corpse. Lorne's eyes lit up at this sight. He had a bold idea. Chapter 28, Merge. Basilisk Mantis. The mantis's arms were powerful weapons. What if it combined with the scythe? It seemed possible. However, attack-type pets had to be equipped with high movement speed. Therefore, he had to give it a body part that could increase its speed. What part should he use? Lorne checked his bag. There were a lot of materials inside, all of them from when he had killed the monsters in the forest. If it's speed, this seems pretty good. There was something about the creature that made a deep impression on Lorne. It was not particularly powerful, but it moved with incredible speed. If he used it to synthesize with the mantis monster, the result would be very good. With a confident nod, Lorne removed the odd half of the corpse from his pouch. It had long, slim legs and a long, narrow tail. This was the back half of a lizard. Perhaps because its talent was concentrated there, so when the material dropped, half of its body dropped. The mantis plus the lizard, this is a completely different species. Will it succeed? Lorne frowned. This time, his idea was more bold. Not only did he use different monster body parts, but he also used many materials. In the past, the synthesis only used a single body part material, and the result was basically satisfactory. This time, though, Lorne wanted to combine two parts. He was not confident. It doesn't matter. We still have to try. It's just a waste of materials and gold coins at worst. He comforted himself, then turned to his pets. Little ones, get to work. The pets that received the order immediately rushed up. The monsters in the beginner village could not affect them at all, not to mention that there was Rimura behind them. It was a bronze boss level pet. The two-headed demon hound moved the fastest. It was the first to close in on the enemy. The two beast heads bit down at the same time. -9. -11. Two damage numbers popped up, dealing exactly 20 damage. This was because the two-headed demon hound was only level 1. It was almost impossible to deal effective damage to a level 10 monster. The mantis monster, who had been attacked, was completely enraged. It let out a strange cry as its sickle arms quickly slashed across the two-headed demon hound's body. Slash! The sharp blades broke through the fur of the two-headed demon hound, and its crimson muscles were immediately exposed, blood dripping onto the ground. The two-headed demon hound let out a howl and quickly retreated from the battlefield. However, the HP above its head decreased by a large amount. -103. A triple-digit amount of damage floated in the air. This was normal. After all, it was a high-level attack-type monster. It would be strange if the damage was not high. The corners of Lorne's mouth curled up after seeing this. To him, the stronger the monster, the more powerful the pet would be. Moreover, he would be using the scythe that Priestess Leisha gave him for this synthesis. Before I merge it, I should do a little test first, right? First, he would let the mantis monster and the lizard's tail combine to see what the final effect was. If it really inherited the high movement speed, then the success rate would be higher when he combined it with the scythe. While thinking, Lorne walked up and opened the mantis monster's attributes panel. Giant Mantis. Quality, Normal. Level, 10. HP, 1100/1100. Physical attack, 115 to 140. Defense, 30. Skill, Sharp Blade, increases the effect of armor piercing by 50 points. Skill, Continuous Slash, deals 1 to 3 continuous slashes on a target. Damage is 80% each. Introduction, a giant mantis that lives in the forest. It has powerful attacks. Be careful. Don't go near it or you will be cut into pieces by sharp blades. No wonder it could deal such terrifying damage to the two-headed demon hound, its attributes were really impressive. The attack limit was actually 140 points, and it had 50 points of armor piercing. It was simply a natural-born assassin. Of course, that was not the most terrifying thing. What was truly powerful about the giant mantis was its combo attack. Once it launched 3 consecutive attacks, it could deal 330 and damage in one go. It was very terrifying. Two-headed demon hound, step back. Lorne said. The two-headed demon hound only had 600 health points. Facing the giant mantis's attack, its life was in danger. This little guy was about to retire, so he did not need its help in such a dangerous battle. The giant axe minotaur stepped forward and faced the mantis. When it was close enough, it slashed down with the axe in its hand. The mantis was unable to dodge the swift and accurate strike. The sharp edge of the axe tore through the hard shell, revealing blue flesh. -227. The minotaur's axe was still very powerful. 150% damage, plus the increase of 40 points of attack, finally dealt 227 total damage. It was quite terrifying. Ignoring the pain, the giant mantis quickly counterattacked. It struck the minotaur 3 times in a row, dealing more than 200 damage. Armor-piercing and consecutive strike, this combination could bring about the greatest explosive force. Unfortunately, its attributes were limited. Although its attack damage was on par with the minotaur, its health was lower by 700 points. Furthermore, without Rimuru's healing, it was no match for the minotaur in such a battle. In just half a minute, its health points were depleted. At about 5%, Lorne stepped forward and activated the monster merging simulator. Ding! Monster Giant Mantis has been identified as the prototype. Please identify the other body parts. The tail of a basilisk lizard. Lorne dropped the entire tail in, but the cracked death scythe was not used yet. He had to test this type of cross-species fusion first. He did not want to waste such a good material. Ding! A monster prototype and a material have been identified. The synthesis formula is, Giant Mantis, plus, Basilisk Lizard, equals. The cost is 150 bronze coins. Would you like to merge? Merge. Lorne confirmed. As soon as he finished speaking, a familiar magic circle appeared. The giant mantis and the tail of the basilisk lizard turned into light and mixed together. In the light, an upright creature appeared. Its tail was very short, but its arms were very long, like 2 thin sickles. Soon, the system notification sounded. Ding! Merging successful. Congratulations on obtaining the elite monster Basilisk Mantis. With that, the light dissipated, and a very strange creature appeared before Lorne. Its body was completely green in color. It had a triangular head with vertical eyes that could turn. The neck resembled that of a snake. It was very long and very agile. The 2 mighty arms were no different from before. However, the strange thing was, it was standing on 2 legs. The legs were very long. They had the shape of a lizard's leg and the exoskeleton of a mantis's limb. The tail behind was short and fat like the abdomen of a mantis. However, there was a benefit to it. It did not stop one from standing, completely freeing the sickle-like arms. Lorne rubbed his hands together, then opened the pet's attributes. Immediately, he frowned. Chapter 29, Elite Prototype Monster. Basilisk Mantis, Contract Possible. Quality, Elite. Level, 1. HP, 540/540. Physical Attack, 49 to 68. Defense, 15. Superiority, 45%. Skills, Sharp Blade, Continuous Slash. Introduction. Only 45%. Lorne frowned. His luck today was not very good. It was usually above 60, but this time, it was only 45. That was too low. However, although its superiority was not high, the attributes of this monster were not low. The upper limit of 68 points was higher than when the Minotaur was created. If it could achieve 80% superiority, the monster's attributes would definitely be very impressive. Most importantly, this Mantis had inherited the high movement speed of the Basilisk lizard. Its attributes in terms of agility had increased by 0.5 times. When its level increased, its combat ability would also increase greatly. Little one, time to retire. Lorne did not slay the Mantis, for it was much more capable than the two-headed demon hound. Since he had already created it, he would replace the demon hound and let the creature retire earlier. With his new pet, Lorne set off. His next target was still the giant Mantis. What the team lacked the most was a damage dealer. The Basilisk Mantis could very well supplement this disadvantage. Moving along the valley, Lorne's party encountered countless monsters, but he did not deliberately choose them. All that he encountered were slain by the Minotaurs. These were all experience points, one of the targets of this operation. But somehow, it seemed that he was unlucky today. After farming for more than an hour, they killed countless monsters and encountered many giant mantises. However, he had not created a satisfactory pet yet. The one beside him was the most outstanding one he had created recently. But its superiority was only 61%. Seeing this, Lorne could not help but wonder if the two species' fusion compatibility was very low. Otherwise, how could the highest superiority only be 61% after more than 10 combinations? Let's try a little longer. Lorne did not want to give up like this. He liked the Basilisk Mantis very much. Its combat ability was excellent, its speed was fast, and its attack power was high. It could perfectly serve as the DPS in the team. If he gave up just like that, he would feel a little pity. Rimuru bounced on his shoulder, as if to lessen his impatience with the cheerful rhythm and cool touch. Don't worry, your master has a good temperament. Lorne tapped Rimuru with his finger as he gradually calmed down. Then, he led his pets forward and began farming monsters along the way. Time slowly passed. When another hour passed, Lorne was still not satisfied. He had not succeeded in 2 hours, which meant that this plan had failed. Lorne intended to abandon such creatures and seek out a new combat species to create. But at that moment, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a huge green mantis quietly hanging from a tree ahead. Its hard carapace, which was shimmering with a faint metallic luster, seemed to be harder than steel. Even its abdomen was covered in a thin carapace that protected all parts of its body. And what made people most fearful was its serrated arms. Every serrated edge on them was like a sharp blade. It was terrifying to look at. This was no ordinary monster. He opened his attributes panel excitedly and was pleasantly surprised. Giant Mantis. Quality, Elite. Level, 10. HP, 1650/1650. Physical Attack, 150 to 182. Defense, 60. Skill, Sharp Blade, increases the effect of armor piercing by 75 points. Skill, Continuous Slash, deals 2 to 4 continuous slashes on a target. Damage is 80% each. Introduction. This was an elite monster. His eyes widened in delight. After checking its attributes, he finally confirmed that he had really encountered an elite-level giant mantis. Although its quality had only increased by 1 rank, its attributes were much stronger than ordinary monsters. Such an intrinsic, powerful monster would evolve even more in the hands of Lorne. For example, Rimuru. Every time it leveled up, its health points would increase by 12,500. It was several times stronger than its original aptitude. It was the same for the giant mantis. Its attributes would be greatly enhanced. The more he looked, the more he liked it. The upper limit of 182 attack points combined with a skill that could have 2 to 4 consecutive strikes. Once 4 consecutive strikes were triggered, it would deal 320% damage. Such an explosive damage output was definitely stronger than ordinary bosses. Rimuru, you keep it busy this time. The Minotaur and the Mantis will assist in the attack. This time, Lorne gave orders to Rimuru. Otherwise, it would take too much time for the Minotaur to win. Rimuru was also very happy about this opportunity to fight. It quickly enlarged its body a little. Although it was not as tall as 2 meters, its aura still firmly suppressed the entire scene. Sticky spray. The moment Rimuru entered the attack range, it immediately used his skill. A ball of light red liquid spread out on the giant mantis. -299. A level 5 bronze grade boss had terrifying damage output. Enraged by such an attack, the giant mantis closed in on Rimuru, unleashing a series of slashes, instantly striking out 3 times. -75. -77. -73. 3 consecutive hits dealt 210+ damage to Rimuru. Originally, the giant mantis's attack should not have broken through its defense, because Rimuru was now level 5 and had 146 defense. The combo damage was 80% each, so it could not break through its defense. However, the giant mantis had a very powerful skill, which had an armor-piercing effect. Physical defense would be greatly reduced against it. It created the scene before him. Unfortunately, the difference in health between the two sides was too great. Rimuru's health was now 112,500. With just attacks dealing 210+ damage, it might not be able to kill Rimuru for the rest of its life. After all, it also had recovery-type abilities. On the other hand, the giant mantis only had 1650 health points. Under the attacks of the pets, it could not last long. Within seconds, the giant mantis was already dying. Lorne let Rimuru cease its attack, fearing that the mantis would be slain with a single strike. He stepped forward and used his merging skill. Chapter 30, The Terrifying Death Scythe Mantis. Ding! Monster Giant Mantis has been identified as the prototype. Please identify the other body parts. The tail of a basilisk lizard, the cracked death scythe. Lorne put the scythe into it, ready to risk everything. If he failed, then he would not waste any more time on the mantis. He only hoped that there would be a good outcome and not waste this material. Ding! A monster prototype and 2 materials have been identified. The synthesis formula is, Giant Mantis, plus, Basilisk Lizard's Tail, plus, Cracked Death Scythe, equals. The cost is 50 silver coins. Would you like to merge? 50 silver coins. Lorne was surprised. 1 gold coin was equivalent to 100 silver coins, which was equivalent to 10,000 bronze coins. Last time, he had spent 5 gold coins to create a boss-level Slime King. This time, it cost 50 silver coins. This also proved that the monster to be created this time had very strong potential. Merge. Taking a deep breath, Lorne made his decision. In the next second, a familiar light appeared. The 3 materials in the formula turned into light and began to fuse together. At last, like a ball of rubber, it gradually transformed into a very agile figure. Ding! Merging successful. Congratulations on obtaining the elite monster Death Scythe Mantis. Death Scythe Mantis, Contract possible. Grade, Bronze. Level, 1, 0/1000. HP, 1200/1200. Physical attack, 110 to 140. Defense, 50. Superiority, 80%. Skill, Sharp Blade, increases the effect of armor piercing by 100 points. Skill, Continuous Slash, deals 2 to 5 continuous slashes on a target. Damage is 80% each. Skill, Scythe of Death, increases attack power by 5%. Introduction. It was a bronze level monster. Seeing the monster's attributes, Lorne was so surprised that he could not speak. He no longer knew how to describe his emotions. After 2 hours of trying, he was about to give up, but at the last moment, he encountered an elite monster and underwent the final attempt. Who would have thought that not only would the synthesis succeed this time, but he would even obtain a bronze monster of 80% superiority. It could be seen that this monster's attributes were very powerful. It was not inferior to an ordinary boss, especially its damage output. It was at least several times stronger than the Minotaur. If I raise it to level 10, its attack should be close to 500 points. Then, with the skill Continuous Slash, the highest possible damage should be 2000 points. That made him look forward to it even more. He even wanted to create another such monster to replace the Minotaur. Unfortunately, there was only one cracked Death Scythe, and such an elite-level giant Mantis was hard to find in this region. Thus, this dream could not be fulfilled. Sign the contract. Lorne contracted the bronze monster and named it Little Mantis. Although it was not a unique name, it was easy to remember and easy to pronounce. Yes, Lorne was definitely a genius at naming. Let's go and level up. Lorne led the way. Now that the giant axe Minotaur had reached level 7, he could postpone its level increase. His top priority was to level up Little Mantis. However, because it was a bronze monster, the EXP needed to level up was 10 times that of Lorne. To raise it from level 1 to level 2, it required 1000 EXP. This EXP requirement was very large, but he still felt that it was natural. After all, it was very powerful, and its speed of killing monsters was fast, so its EXP gain was naturally fast as well. Compared to other players, its leveling speed was definitely not slow. After entering the valley, the air here was more moist, and the jungle was filled with dew. He continued forward and soon arrived near a pool. Waves of wolf howls sounded, causing one's hair to stand on end. Roar! There was a low growl, and the underbrush ahead suddenly shook. A group of strange lizards rushed out. Several pairs of baleful eyes focused on Lorne, seeking to make him into a meal. Unperturbed, Lorne glanced at the creature's attributes. Armored lizard. Quality, normal. Level, 10. It was an ordinary level 10 monster with astonishing defense because of the thick armor on its back. However, against the Mantis's armor-piercing effect, defense was useless. Go, little ones! The Mantis and the Minotaur rushed forward at the command. These were just ordinary monsters with low attributes. They were not a threat at all. In fact, there were many monsters around. They were in groups of 5 to 10, and such small groups were very suitable for farming experience. Little Mantis was very fast. It attacked first, using its forearms that were sharper than blades to quickly unleash a combo attack on the monster. Slash! 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 Very luckily, Little Mantis managed to hit 5 consecutive times in less than a second. -115. -115. -115. -115. -115. 5 damage numbers floated in the air. Although the single damage of the combo was only 80%, Little Mantis had a 100 points of armor-piercing effect, almost shattering all of the opponent's defense. Therefore, the damage dealt in the end was very impressive. One skill dealt a total of 575 points of damage. After all, it was still a level 1 monster. At the side, the giant axe minotaur also stepped forward to participate in the battle. The savage giant axe was slashed ruthlessly, dealing 483 damage in one strike. Of course, it was level 7 and its attributes were much stronger than little Mantis. It was normal for it to be able to deal such damage. On the other hand, the lizard monsters only dealt 30 plus damage. They could not threaten the lives of the two pets. Under the cooperation of the Mantis and the Minotaur, this group of armored lizards was quickly wiped out, and the loot dropped on the ground. Ding! Congratulations on killing an armored lizard, EXP plus 20, 35. Ding! Ding! A level 10 monster could provide 55 experience points. The wave of 7 armored lizards had directly given him 385 experience points. At this rate, he only needed 3 waves of monsters to raise little Mantis to level 2. With that in mind, Lorne quickly commanded his pets to continue their assault on the other groups of enemies.